Hey Spies, today we're talking 2019 Most Wanted Driver Test. My name is Sam Robinson. I've got my comrades Adam Beach and Harry Nodwell with me. Today we are talking top 5 drivers. If you want to see the full article, head over to MyGolfSpy.com, click the link below and it'll send you over to the full test.
And do not forget to subscribe and comment today for your chance to win the #1 driver in golf, the Callaway Epic Flash Sub-Zero. Miss 100% of the shots you don't take. All right, so now we're going to get into the 2019 MyGolfSpy Most Wanted winner, and that is the 2019 Callaway Epic Flash Sub-Zero. Harry, grab the flash, and let's go over some of the things that we noticed in the test. So here is the Epic Flash Sub-Zero, the 2019 Most Wanted winner, and let's talk about some of the things that we not only saw in the test, both from the testers but from the data, and then also some of the things that we know to be true about the Callaway driver this year. So this year they did something called an artificial intelligence face, and what that basically means is they used a supercomputer, correct?
Yeah.
And they created a face design which you can't kind of see, it's all behind under the hood, which was drastically different than any other face they've ever designed before, with the ultimate purpose to provide the maximum amount of ball speed. And looks like they actually did that, right? I mean, they won this year's Most Wanted driver test.
Yeah, and I will mention, you know, we look at the key metrics when we're testing the drivers, and one of the things that we look at is consistency of ball speed. So how consistent is the ball speed across the entire face, not just on center hits? We were talking about this earlier, Adam, and you mentioned that this driver is really good for people that hit it on the center of the club face, and it was the best driver for the most number of testers in our test. But we did see that it lacked a little bit in the consistency of ball speed. So when you get really far away from the center of the club face on this driver, your ball speeds are going to drop a little bit.
Yeah, so that's one thing that's interesting, right? So for a golfer like Sam, which is very efficient, strikes the center spot more often, or Harry, the Callaway Epic Flash Sub-Zero could be a great option for you. But the first place driver for them might not be the first place driver for me. I don't strike the center of the club face as often, and for that reason I want a driver that might not be as far on center strikes but averages farther on all strikes. And you know, the Flash Sub-Zero, while it did win this year's Most Wanted test, if you're not a center striker, you might want to look at other options out there in the driver market this year. I know Sam liked the driver this year because of the blend between the Rogue and last year's the last Epic, correct?
Yeah, the first time I hit this was at the PGA show. We did another video on our YouTube page with me trying out this Epic Flash. Well, it was actually the original Epic Flash and the original Epic versus each other, and I got some significant ball speed increases on this driver. I like this one a lot. I like the shaping of it. I wasn't a big fan of the Rogue. It has more of that original Epic feel, a very rounded crown, not as wide, a little bit more of a compact body. But the sound of it actually was rated one of the worst sounding drivers in our test.
It didn't sound good at all, in my opinion. It didn't. It came when it came off that face. It was just
kind of.
It didn't invite me to hit it again. You know.
Just this weird muted sound.
In today's time, a lot of these drivers perform fairly similarly. So if you want a driver that performs really well and also sounds well, Callaway might not be your option. If you're just looking for the ultimate best driver from 2019, that was what we had.
Yeah, don't get us wrong. The driver is damn good. It's long, it's straight, it's forgiving, but subjectively, the testers, it was not the highest rated driver subjectively. Don't throw it out of your consideration set just because of the sound and the feel, but if sound is your #1 priority,
yeah, you might want to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
All right, so next we're going to move to the runner-up, which was a phenomenal driver in 2019 and so close to being the #1 driver. Harry, grab the Cobra King F9 and let's go over this. And I know you love that driver.
Yes.
So let's go into why not only you loved it, but why everyone loved it. So for those of you out there that have never tried a Cobra driver or don't believe in Cobra drivers for whatever reason, stop thinking that way. Cobra has, for all the years of our testing, made phenomenal woods. and they've always been the kind of envelope pusher for technology. And honestly, they've been the leaders in that category many times. And what you have seen over the years is other companies come and kind of do what they were doing first. So kudos to Cobra once again with the F9. This was tester favorite, correct?
Yeah, sound, looks, feel, it was the whole package.
Yeah.
You know, every year we have a driver test. There is, you know, these testers are leaving here, they're always stopping by my office to schedule the next session, saying, man, I really like this driver this year. And this year it was the Cobra F9. Harry, I mean this kid was raving about it since we got it in. It's a good looking driver, I'm not gonna lie.
Look at it. Look how good that looks.
I think
granted, you don't look at the bottom when you hit a club, but pulling it out the bag gives you confidence.
The thing that I like about Cobra though is it always, and no disrespect, it always takes them a couple of years to get it right. When I first got to MyGolfSpy, it was the F6 and the F6 Plus. Those were one of the best Cobra drivers I've ever hit. And then the F7 and the F8, they were like trying to get it right. And then with the F9, it's like they nailed it. They nailed the CNC milled face. They've nailed the shaping. They've nailed the crown design.
Sometimes that happens when you're a leader, and you know, oftentimes they get arrows in the back, right? And sometimes it takes a while for the leader they take that risk to be out front, and sometimes that's a risk you got to take to have some errors and issues with some other things. One of those is the loss, right?
Yeah. With last year, they just had 9.5, and they've had their adjustable hosel, and it does have a big range. But this year, they gave us 9.5 and 10.5. So for the slower swing speed guys that need to get the ball up in the air a little bit more, we had a stock 10.5 head. We could turn the loft all the way up to 12 if we needed to.
It's easier to fit a broader spectrum of golfers more quickly.
They had plenty of stock shafts, so we could pop in there to optimize launch and spin. And overall, I mean,
that's probably one of the reasons why I liked it so much, because we can get myself in a 7X.
Yeah.
And then drop the weights from the heavier weight to the front to drop my spin, because I spin it at quite a.
Well, Harry being from England hits it low, so we need to get him a little loft and keep that spin down, and that's always been a struggle.
Well, whether you're hitting it high, hitting it low, left or right, the Cobra has given more options this year than in the past for not only people that test the clubs, people that fit clubs, but also golfers that go into a fitting environment, into a launch monitor bay at whatever store you go to. It's just easier to find. If you're on the cusp of having the best driver, it gives you the ability to put it over the top with the F9 this year versus in the past.
For sure.
So they've won a lot on tour already this year. You got Bryson, and I think Ricky's won already.
Yeah, Ricky's won in Arizona.
Doing well.
It's a tester favorite. I think it was a editor's choice kind of favorite this year. And if you haven't considered Cobra in the past, definitively put it on the list this year for what you're going to demo, because you might be surprised.
Make sure you at least try it out.
You probably will.
Yeah, you will be surprised.
So let's move on to the next driver, and the next driver is the TaylorMade M6. They have something a little bit new this year, not just twist face, but inject-a-face.
Screw face.
Screw face.
Injecto-face.
Injecto.
And while that might be, what some have come to know TaylorMade as a marketing company, there is a purpose for it, and that purpose is to help you, the golfer, maximize your distance on, once again, miss hits. And you've probably heard us say that multiple times already today, and we will continue to probably mention it, because once again, center strikes on the golf club are pretty consistent amongst all brands. The area that they are starting to see as opportunity for improvement are all those miss hits across the face. And how do you make the ball go as far or almost as far on a high toe shot, low heel shot? That was an area where you were in the past losing a significant amount of distance and accuracy, and now you see pretty much every company coming up with a way to improve that. And the inject-a-face, or
screw face
is how TaylorMade does it. So that's those little two screws that you can see on the face right there.
A lot smaller than I thought they would be before.
Like I was, when I first heard it coming out, I was just like, if you hit that screw, what's going to happen to the launch angle, the trajectory, the spin rate?
Evidently, it makes the ball go farther.
First of all,
I tried to hit those screws.
I was about to say, have you ever hit a shot down that?
They're pretty low down there on the face.
I have definitely hit shots down there. Tony,
Tony, that's
Tony
a
might be a
sweet
little
spot.
bit.
That's
Stay
a
hot,
sweet spot
Tony.
right there. That's a sweet spot.
That's Tony's sweet spot, I think, right there. No, but on a serious note, this was the longest driver in the 2019 Most Wanted driver test. That brings me back to one of the things about this year and one of the changes we made, and that is to actually how we display all the winners in Most Wanted testing this year, and you'll see a dramatic change. And the reason being is to just offer a broader spectrum of golfers more options on what you tell us you want. So go check it out if you haven't. And there's a couple other options that we give you, like a slice killer. If you just want something to eliminate a slice, there is definitively data to prove that the Ping G410 SFT was that driver this year. It eliminates pretty much the entire right side of a golf course, and the shot pattern is all landing to the left in a consistent pattern. There's also the Titleist TS3 or TS2 this year that
ball
was
speed winner.
Yep, the #1 ball speed driver. So check out MyGolfSpy's Most Wanted driver test if you haven't already, and just check out the new display this year. We hope you like it. So back to the M6, and what did the testers think of this driver this year, Harry?
They liked it. It wasn't their favorite in my just my observation.
I think it's a nice looking driver, you know.
Yeah, it's very
frames the ball well.
The crown of the club, it doesn't glare off the sun when you're looking down. If the sun's beating down on something that has a lot of reflections.
Yeah, they've got a satin finish.
Yeah, I like that because you literally just focus on the ball.
The M5 and M6 series, I think overall testers rated it highly. It did, like Harry said, it didn't win.
It wasn't their favorite one, but
they
it
did.
Was up there.
Yeah, they did do really well.
There's a lot of polarization around the brand. You know, either people love or hate it. We could care less about the name as much as we wanted to tell you the performance. But at the end of the day, we've been doing testing for quite a long time, and TaylorMade, whether you love them or hate them, can make a good damn driver.
Every year, man.
Every year they should be in
Every
your
year
demo
they're up
list.
there.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, we want to find your #1 driver, and the chances are, out of the umpteen drivers out there, that TaylorMade is probably going to be in the demo list that you should be putting in your top 3 or top 5 every single year.
Yeah. What do you think they're going to come up with? We've got twist face and screw face in the same face.
Maybe.
What face do you think they're going to have now?
What's that driver that just shoots the ball off with the
easy tee?
It's like a shotgun, like a gun that shoots the ball off.
Yeah, I know exactly what
I
you
don't
mean.
know.
Why
I
does it
think
just
that they
come up in my
should.
head?
I think they should
Piston
take those
driver?
Piston
screws.
driver. There
The
you go.
piston driver. Maybe they'll put a shotgun shell in there and just shoot it out into the middle of the fairway for you next year.
They ought to take those screws, put them around the face, and then you can change the face for a loft.
I mean, links.
Oh wait, Lynx
That's
already
links,
did
right?
that.
Yeah, I don't know. Lynx screws are a little bit bigger. Anyway, on to the next driver, which this year was the first year that PXG was in our driver test, correct?
Yeah.
I was excited.
A lot of people were excited.
I was excited.
So,
Look how
there is no more polarizing brand in golf because of a few things, whether it be the owner, Bob Parsons, or the price that they sell this equipment for. But nevertheless, whether you want to say you like them or hate them, these people are moving the needle. And if you heard what they're going to do in total revenue this year and sales, it's pretty impressive for a brand this young. So,
I mean, just look how cool.
oh, Harry likes
You
it.
can see yourself in it.
Oh my gosh.
Like, who needs a mirror? You just look at yourself.
Get
in
a
it.
room.
Harry likes himself, if anyone hasn't ever known that.
Thanks for making that public.
But that being said, at the end of the day, we hadn't tested PXG because they really weren't getting to the point where there was a couple things. They were completely custom fit. Secondarily, they were a club that really wasn't moving the needle as much as they said they were, and they didn't have a good driver, if we're being completely honest. This year, they have a good driver, and we had to have them in the test this year. So this year is the PXG 0811 XF, and that's your 2019 most forgiving driver. Shocked a lot of people in our test this year. I think out of the gate, everyone, what do we got to say from the testers' feedback on the sound of the field?
Everyone was excited
rated.
to get their hands on a PXG because they never get a chance to. Like 90% of golfers out there won't get a chance to hit a PXG driver.
Yeah, so let's touch base about that real quick, and that is the cost. Traditionally, their drivers have cost up to, I think, $800, somewhere around there. And that's the feedback you get. Well, I have to sell my car to buy one. Believe it or not, this year, Price of this driver is what, Sam?
$575.
Yeah, 575.
So
it's pretty close.
Similar cost. If you have the opportunity to try one, give this one a shot. If you're looking for accuracy, it was the best in our driver test this year. And from a subjective standpoint, I think it's the best sounding feeling driver that may have ever been produced.
You and the testers thought the same. In our feedback. The testers thought that the PXG 0811X and the XF, they both rated the best for sound and looks. And we know that sound and feel are typically correlated, so testers also thought it was up there for feel as well.
Tell them about the shaft upgrades too. I mean,
well, that's the thing is, you know, you're paying $25 more than an M6 and what, $45 more than a Callaway Epic Flash, but you have a whole host of upgradable shafts that don't cost you anything to upcharge, and it's one of the largest breadths of shaft options that I believe we have in the industry. That
it would take us a long time.
Cost you an arm and a leg.
Here's one thing about PXG. They provide an experience, so everyone has gotten a TaylorMade Callaway driver sometime probably in their life, and you get them in the same brown box, right? That's not going to be the way you get PXGs. Meaning, from the time you go get fit, their main goal is to give you white glove service, and that is to take care of you and to provide an experience on top of just buying a golf club. Because if you're going to pay that much, I mean, in theory, it should be an experience. $575, right?
Yeah.
So that's the difference maker really with PXG. Not only do they provide a good driver now, but you're going to get a little bit more hands-on experience with them and more of a personalization vibe from that.
There is golfers out there that tested this club that thought coming off the face was a little bit dead.
Interesting.
But that tended to be like the slower swing speed guys, like the 70 to 80.
That's a good point. Dead. The higher swing speed guys loved it.
I loved it. Yeah. I love the X.
And the lower swing speed guys
a lot more than
didn't
the XF,
love it as much.
Yes.
So what about the weights though? For you guys as a fitter / tester, you know, I know that's one kind of the average golfer probably won't matter to, but for the fitter's perspective,
and the weighting, and we know that PXG uses these removable, they look like little studs on a belt, weights for adjustability, but for them it's more of a swing weighting thing. So when you're going to get fit at PXG, sometimes you might have all titanium weights in the back of that head, and sometimes you may have none. But for us, we had a few to move around. It didn't move a ton of weight around, but I will tell you, it is a pain in the behind. And there's weights that you can move from the back to the front. You got to unscrew.
There's 9 weights.
Yeah, I mean, you got to unscrew and then unscrew and rescrew.
It took a long time to fit.
It takes a long time to move around.
Take the Cobra out real quick, if you don't mind, Harry. I mean, let's just take a look at 2 different ways of adjusting weights, right? So you've got a Cobra and a PXG. The complexity of the PXG compared to the Cobra and the functionality and purpose and value you get out of moving each of these weights is significantly more functional with the Cobra than it would be for a PXG. So once again though, that's generally for fitting or fitters that are going to run into that problem more than the average golfer, because the average golfer, believe it or not, buys a driver and might move the weight once and never again.
You get to really fine tune the X. That's more of a player's.
You better be doing it the night before, because you better hope you can make your tee time if you're trying to switch the weights.
It takes a long time.
To
get it fit.
So that covers the PXG 0811 XF, and it once again was the 2019 most forgiving driver.
Really good driver.
Great driver, and you know, they've had some great products in their lineup. Their driver has always been one, in our opinion, that suffered. And this year they've got a full bag of good gear. The next club up is the Tor Edge Exotic EXS. And the Tor Edge Exotic EXS was the 2019 best value. They've always made a good driver since we've been testing clubs. Their wood category is
solid,
close to as good as you're going to find, right?
Solid.
And this year what's interesting is, due to a lot of factors, whether it's tariffs or whatever, the cost of drivers has gone up. We're now in the $500 category pretty much across the board, except for a few different ones. The one kind of standout, or a couple standouts, this being one of them, was the Tor Edge EXS, the Exotics EXS, at $299. Now, why does that matter? Because not everyone has $500 to spend on a driver. So if you're going kind of pound for pound, what is one of the better drivers on the market?
Very close.
This was our best value winner this year. So Sam brought up an interesting point too, just about the longevity of the brand.
Yeah, so you know, we have a lot of testers in here, and a lot of guys will come in and bring their bags in and warm up, or just tell us what they're playing. And one set of woods that I always see in people's bags, and in their old drivers, I mean, they're talking old exotics, 10-year-old drivers, 5-10-year-old drivers sitting in people's bags as exotics, Tor Edge. I mean, they've always made really good drivers. They've, you know, not won our test, but it's a high quality driver, and they've always used higher quality materials from what I understand.
Yeah, and what's interesting is we'll get guys in here like Chucky, you know, that played a Tor Edge driver that's older, and you try to find another driver that's better for him, and you still can't, and the driver might be 5 years old. Yeah. So something to be said. So if you haven't taken Tor Edge serious, or you've never demoed or tried a Tor Edge driver, give the Exotics EXS a try.
Yeah, put it in your list. Put it in your list.
So once again, that being said, Most Wanted is ultimately not to tell you what your #1 driver is. What I mean by that is the #1 driver for MyGolfSpy might be the 4th best driver for you.
Yeah.
And that's why we have something called True Golf Fit this year. True Golf Fit is the world's first personalized fitting engine. And we want to tell you not only which one's #1, we're going to tell you how much longer it's going to be, how much straighter it's going to be, and it's all guaranteed. TrueGolfFit.com. Give it a try today.
So before we started shooting this video, we sent out a tweet asking our readers to submit questions to be featured on our top 5 video here. So Mike Vate, he said, ever thought about adding the top 2 to 3 models from previous years to the mix as a reference for the consumer? This is probably the most asked question we get from our readers is, can you add previous year's winners to your current test? And the answer is yes. Next year, we will be adding the 2018 winner, which is the Ping G400 LST, and the 2019 winner, which is the Epic Flash Sub-Zero, into our 2020 test for reference. Everybody's gonna test it again for you guys. We're gonna see how they stack up. We're gonna see how each Most Wanted winner improves over the years.
Is newer really better? That's what we're gonna find out, right? And we don't want you guys spending any money unless it improves on what you already own. So we're gonna find out how much difference there really is from year to year. All right, so we got another question from Everyday Golfer on Twitter. Have golf companies reached critical mass on driver technology? Good question. Answer is no. I've gotten this question for close to the 20 years I've been in the industry, and for the 20 years I've been in the industry, I've seen a cops and robbers game going on. Meaning the cops are the USGA trying to set some rules on the robbers, and the robbers are going to figure out a way to get around it. And in actuality, those rules that they put onto the manufacturers have made them just get more creative. Meaning this technology that you see where they're creating better ball speeds across the face didn't even exist a while ago. The aerodynamics that they have on the clubs, like the turbulators and things, are a reason of ways to get around the ruling, you know? The adjustability to be able to better fit more golfers, which gets you better launch data and better paper airplane flight, right? At the end of the day, I think there will be a point where we get closer, and maybe we're getting there. But I think there's plenty more to see, and you might see some new materials happen in golf where maybe they bring the prices down, the weight down, so there can be more adjustability. There can be quite a few things that are still on the horizon for golf club manufacturers. So great question. Hope that helped. So that wraps up the 2019 Most Wanted driver tests. And as you can see, we've got the top 5 drivers that we've shown you, which is the Callaway Epic Flash Sub-Zero, the King F9 Cobra, the TaylorMade M6, the PXG 0811 XF, and the Exotics Tor Edge EXS driver. At the end of the day, these are the top 5 drivers that we think you should be out there demoing. And don't forget, once again, subscribe and comment below for your chance to win the #1 driver in golf, the Callaway Epic Flash Sub-Zero. Once again, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.